cold emptiness that lay between realms, doll of marble and the man wandered, their purpose sharpened by the dark revelations of Isenis. The void around them was quiet, almost peaceful in its stillness, but there was a tension in the air, dash an unspoken truth that something ancient and powerful was watching. As they walked, the void began to shimmer and shift. Faint whispers filled the air, like echoes of forgotten thoughts, growing louder and louder until the space around them seemed to tremble. Then, as if drawn by the invisible pull of their thoughts, two figures emerged from the void, stepping forward into view. The first was a child, no older than 7 or 8, with wide, curious eyes that seemed to hold entire universes within them. She wore a simple dress, and on her back she carried an impossibly large book. It seemed far too heavy for her slight frame, yet she carried it with ease, the pages fluttering as if stirred by unseen winds. Her presence radiated a sense of wonder, as though she saw the world through eyes that could never tire of its mysteries. The second figure was harder to define. A girl, perhaps, though her form shifted constantly, her features changing with every breath. One moment she appeared as a fiery-haired teenager, her eyes burning with fierce determination. The next, she morphed into something more ethereal, her face soft and delicate like a long-lost lover from a half-remembered dream. She was Delirium, a manifestation of chaos and drive, her form ever-changing, driven by the desires and ambitions of those who beheld her. "You are far from home," said the child, Dream, her voice soft, almost melodic. She tilted her head, studying Doll, and the man, with eyes that seemed far older than her appearance would suggest. Lost in the space between worlds. "How did you find us?" the man asked, his voice cautious but curious. Dream smiled, a smile filled with secrets. "I didn't. You found us. We reside here between everything and nothing, where dreams and delirium are born." Delirium stepped forward, her form flickering between shapes as she grinned, her voice confident and bold. "And why wouldn't you? You carry a heavy burden now, something big, something that twists reality itself. That always calls to us." Doll of Marble regarded them both with her usual calm, though the flickering form of Delirium unsettled her slightly. "What are you?" "We are the spaces where thoughts become things," Dream answered, her voice lilting like a lullaby. "I am Dream, and I carry the dreams of every being in existence." She tapped the massive book on her back, and the fluttering of its pages grew louder, like the collective breath of countless lives. "Every hope, every fear, every ambition, it is all in here. And through me all those dreams take shape." "And I," Delirium interrupted with a mischievous smirk, "am the madness that makes those dreams real. I am the delirium that pushes mortals to act on their ambitions, no matter how impossible they seem. Without me, dreams would just stay in that book forever, just ideas." The man stepped forward, intrigued. "You mean you give people the will to make their dreams a reality?" "Exactly," Delirium said, her form now taking on the appearance of a warrior, clad in gleaming armor, her eyes alight with passion. "Dream gives them the spark, but I give them the drive. The will, the madness to believe that they can actually make it happen, even when all logic says they cannot." Doll of Marble glanced between the two, something stirring deep within her, a curiosity she had not felt in centuries. So you are what moves the world forward. Without you, there would be no ambition, no change. Dream nodded solemnly. Yes, but there is always a price. For every dream realized, there is another lost. For every ambition achieved, there is a shadow of regret. And in that shadow, doubt grows. Her eyes flickered toward Doll, and for a moment, they seemed to darken, as though she knew more than she let on. You have seen it, have not you? The weight of eternity, the dreams that fade into nothingness over time. Doll of Marble didn't respond, but her silence was answer enough. Delirium, now in the form of a wild-haired artist with paint-splattered clothes, laughed and spun in a circle, her joy infectious. But that is the beauty of it. Without the chaos, without the delirium of ambition, nothing would ever change. People would stay where they are, content in their little boxes. But with me, they push, they fight, they dream bigger, and sometimes they break through. Sometimes they make the impossible happen. The man, his mind racing with the implications, looked to Dream. And what about us? What does this mean for us? We have been given a task, a burden to cast doubt on the gods themselves. What role do we play in this cycle? Dream's eyes softened, her expression becoming almost maternal. You are both dreamers and destroyers. You carry the hopes of those who wish to break free from the gods' chains, but you also carry the delirium of those who wish to tear down everything. In the end, you will decide what becomes of the world. Delirium's form shifted again, this time appearing as a reflection of the man himself, but with wild, chaotic eyes. You have got the spark. You have got the madness to do it. But know this, whatever path you choose, there will be no going back. Once you dream big enough, the world around you will warp to fit that dream, or it will shatter under the weight of it. Doll of Marble, ever steady, spoke again. And what of Lanolin's gift? Does it change anything? Can we truly end this? Dream smiled sadly. The Fey Mother gave you the power to speak against the gods, to sow doubt in their perfection. But even in that, there is a dream dash, a dream of freedom, of release from endless suffering. It is her dream as much as it is yours. Delirium's grin widened, and it is my job to make sure you see it through. Even if it drives you mad along the way. The void around them began to shimmer once more, and Doll of Marble could feel the pull of reality returning, drawing them back to Anor. Dream and Delirium stepped back, their forms fading into the darkness, though their presence lingered. Remember, Dream said softly, dreams are fragile things, but they are also the most powerful force in existence. And sometimes, the only way to realize a dream is to let the world fall apart around you. Delirium's voice echoed through the void, confident and wild. And don't forget, it is the delirium of belief that turns dreams into reality. You will need both if you want to challenge the gods. With that, the world around Doll of Marble and the man blurred and twisted, and in a blink, they were no longer in the space between worlds. They stood once more on the familiar soil of Anor, the weight of their journey pressing heavily on their shoulders. But now they carried with them more than just the gift of the Fey Mother. They carried the power of dream and delirium and with it the knowledge that ambition, whether driven by madness or hope, was the key to changing the world. And in the quiet aftermath of their return, the man turned to Doll of Marble, his voice filled with quiet resolve. If we are going to dream of a new world, then we will need the strength to see it through, no matter the cost. Doll of Marble, her ancient eyes seeing more than the world before her, nodded. And if delirium is the price of that dream, then so be it. As Doll of Marble and the man stood in the quiet aftermath of their encounter with dream and delirium, something strange stirred in their hands. A faint crinkling, soft but unmistakable, like the rustle of dried leaves in the wind. They both looked down and saw it a crumpled page, fragile and worn, as if it had existed for centuries in the folds of forgotten memories. A parting gift from dream, perhaps, or delirium? Doll of Marble unfolded hers slowly, a mixture of curiosity and caution in her movements. As the page unfurled, images began to flicker in her mind, dash old memories, half-forgotten faces, whispers of voices long silenced. The dream she had once buried deep within herself, the one she had forgotten over her endless years of wandering and suffering, now resurfaced with painful clarity. It was a dream of death. Not the cold, sterile concept of mortality she had come to know, but the warm embrace of reunion. In her dream, she stood in the land of the dead where time held no meaning, and every soul she had ever loved waited for her. The faces of those lost to her throughout her mortal life greeted her, dash friends, lovers, companions, dash all of them smiling, unburdened by pain. Even her creator, the forgotten God who had given her life, was there standing among them. A peace that had eluded her for centuries settled in her chest, the dream offering her what life had denied, a place of belonging, a final rest among the dead. Her stone heart, usually cold and indifferent, stirred. For a moment, the heavy burden of her immortality felt lighter, as though this dream might one day be her reality. But as quickly as the warmth had come, it faded, and she folded the page once more, her expression unreadable. Beside her, the man was also holding his page, but his reaction was far different. At first, there was only silence. Then, as his eyes scanned the dream that had once driven him, something shifted. His face crumpled, and for the first time since Doll of Marble had met him, she saw him cry. Silent tears ran down his cheeks, his shoulders trembling with a grief so raw that it seemed to crack the air around them. He stared at the page in his hand as though it were a curse, his fingers tightening around it until the paper began to tear at the edges. Doll of Marble said nothing, her gaze steady as she watched him. But then his sorrow twisted, contorted into something darker, something seething. His tears gave way to rage, and with a growl of frustration, he crushed the page into a ball and threw it to the ground with all the force he could muster. His hands clenched into fists, the veins on his neck pulsing with the intensity of his emotion. "What did you see?" Doll of Marble asked softly, her voice devoid of judgment, merely curious. The man's chest rose and fell heavily as he struggled to catch his breath, his face flushed with fury. He didn't meet her gaze for a long moment, staring instead at the crumpled paper as though it had betrayed him. Finally he spoke, his voice hoarse, trembling with both sorrow and wrath. "It was them, everyone I have ever loved. The people who mattered to me, the ones I thought I lost. He paused, his fists tightening again. But they weren't free. They were puppeteered, stringed, controlled, manipulated by a god I used to revere. Twisted, hollow versions of who they once were. And he cut himself off, his jaw tightening as though the words were too painful to say. Doll of Marble remained silent, allowing the man to find his own way through the storm of emotions raging within him. When he spoke again, his voice was filled with a hard, bitter determination. I thought I had lost them to time, to fate. But no, they were taken from me, bent to the will of a god who thought he could play with my life. With theirs, I won't let that stand. His eyes burned with fury as he finally looked at Doll of Marble, his once sorrowful expression now replaced with a steely resolve. I will tear down the heavens themselves if I have to. Whatever gods remain, whatever power they think they have, it ends here. No more. Doll of Marble studied him for a moment, the weight of his words settling between them like a dark promise. She'd lived long enough to know the wrath of a mortal could rival that of gods, and in this man she saw something deeper, a rage born not only of loss, but of betrayal. The same betrayal that had driven her creator to inscribe her image into her eternal form, the same fury that now fueled her own endless search for an end. She nodded slowly, her voice calm but firm. Then we move forward together, for the sake of what we have lost and for what they have taken. The man gave a small, grim smile, but there was no joy in it. Only the cold certainty of what lay ahead. Together, they turned from the crumpled pages, memories of what they had once desired, and set their sights on the path before them, a path that would lead them to challenge the gods themselves. And as they walked, a faint echo of Dream's voice seemed to linger in the air around them, soft and distant. Dreams are fragile, but they are also the most powerful force in existence. Doll of Marble, and the man knew then that their fight was not merely against gods or fate. It was a fight for their dreams, the dreams that had been stolen, twisted, and corrupted. And they would stop at nothing to reclaim them.